have you. Welcome to the program. Thanks. It is the Joe Pag Show. Great radio stations all over. Newsmax TV, iHeartRadio, joepags.com, all that and more. And we're certainly glad to have you along for the ride. It's been said that the millennial vote is going Democrat because the millennials understand that the Democrats understand them, and wow, they're all for one and one for all. And I'm here to tell you, not all millennials are going that way. I'm here to tell you that I've got a very, very smart woman on the line right now. Her name is Kieffer. She's got a book out called "Let Me Be Clear: Barack Obama's War on Millennials and One Woman's Case for Hope." You also write for Town Hall. Katie, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on a Taco Tuesday, Joe.
So you're obviously listening to the program or watching the program, and I appreciate that. Katie,
I listen every night.
Well,
yes.
and I love that. You're a millennial, and you're smart. Therefore, you must be voting for Hillary Clinton, right?
Almost. Everything but the last part.
Now, why is it, in your opinion, first, I asked you this before, Bernie Sanders is a 74-year-old curmudgeon from Brooklyn. He doesn't sound like a millennial, doesn't look like a millennial. He's a guy that I don't see any reason other than millennials want to smoke the reefer or something that relates to millennials whatsoever. What was the draw to him, and do you think Hillary Clinton is getting those that would have voted for Bernie?
The draw to him is integrity and trust. And one thing that Barack Obama had in 2012 when he was running was an advantage in terms of the fact that both he and Clinton are cut from the same cloth. They're both the Saul Alinsky acolytes, and they both believe that the ends justify the means. But he was 51, she's 68, which means that she has about 2 decades worth of lies and corruption out there.
Yeah.
And millennials are fully aware of that. They're hyper aware of what is out there online. And so they were attracted. Women as a whole, as well as millennials, went towards Bernie Sanders in the primaries. And now they're hanging out there, and they don't know who to vote for. Many of them are sitting on the sidelines. So an important message for voters to hear is that this election isn't tied up. It's not just about saving the Senate at this point.
Yeah.
Time Magazine, Washington Post, just today said that Democrats are struggling to win these millennial votes, even among Latino millennials. There's a difference. Even if you look at Latino millennials, only 48% of them favor Hillary Clinton versus 66% of non-millennial Latinos. So the younger the women or the minorities are, the more they tend to be undecided and uninfatuated with Hillary Clinton.
It's Katie Kieffer. Go to katiekieffer.com, KatieKieffer.com. The name of her book is Let Me Be Clear. You also write a great blog. You write a great articles all the time. One, in fact, a young millennial woman for Trump. You wrote this. Are you cast out from your normal group, your age group, your gender group, again, you look like somebody that Hillary Clinton thinks she's going to get the vote from. When people find out that you're for Trump and that you lean to the right and that you're a conservative woman in America who loves the country, are you in any way, shape, or form excluded from being in the group that people might assume you were in?
Well, I mean...
To your friends, I guess what I'm trying to... It was a long...
I'm a nerd.
It was a long way.
Because...
Well, hold on. It was a long way to get to a simple question. Let me ask it again better. Bad question by the host. Do your friends think you suck because you're pulling for Trump?
No, absolutely not. And one thing that is key about the millennials is that they do tend to be a very pragmatic generation. And one of my best friends who is back home for me, where I'm originally from, in Minnesota, is a Democrat. I mean, she still has the Wellstone buttons. And so...
Wow.
But the thing is, we both can talk to each other about politics because we're millennials. It's very pragmatic. It's very much about the issues. And the number one thing for us is the economy. And so when Hillary Clinton is spending all this time talking about women's rights, she's actually not focusing on the main issue that we care about, which is jobs and the economy, whereas Trump is. And he's also using the language of entrepreneurship because so many of us want to have meaningful, independent careers. And you can do that within a company or with outside of it, but Hillary isn't talking in a language that speaks to us. So I think that I've had great conversations actually with independents and leftward-leaning millennials because, quite frankly, none of us feel like we have a home either in the Republican Party or the Democratic Party.
It is Katie Kieffer. It's called Let Me Be Clear is the name of the book. And, of course, go to her website. Go and check out these incredible articles. Writes for Town Hall as well. Katie, what's interesting is, and this is me, a father of 3 millennials and then a couple of younger kids, I don't think you guys, and not you specifically, because obviously you're doing great, but I don't think millennials as a whole understand how to be productive members of society. I'll agree with you that you guys care about the issues, and I agree with you that entrepreneurialism sounds wonderful. I just don't know that you know how to do it. And again, not you, I mean you as the generation. I'll expand upon that and tell me if you think I'm a dork. As millennials are fed the belief that you must go to college and get 18 different degrees and get $150,000 or $200,000 in college debt. That somehow is going to set you up for life. Then they get out of college and can't get a job other than flipping burgers. In my generation, Generation X, what we did was when we turned 12 and somebody would hire us, went and got jobs, because getting a job meant you hand me money when I get done doing things for you. And you know, now that I'm 50, I'm the guy who has worked 18 billion different jobs to get to a goal, and I'm still striving every day to reach my goals. But it's almost like we were goal-oriented, and we were taught how you do it. You produce, you get paid. You get paid, you buy stuff. You buy better and bigger stuff when you produce even more. It's almost like millennials get out of college and go, look, I got the piece of paper, now what do? Am I getting it right, or am I completely off base?
No, there is an overemphasis on higher education that never stops in our society, and millennials have bought into that. Obama really ran that down their throats. You know, you are not a success unless you go to college. And in some ways, our parents send us that message too. There's a lot of pressure to go to college. So as a culture, I think you're right. We do have to back off from that. And millennials have received a very poor education. So part of it, yes, is their fault. At a certain point, you do have to grow up and be an adult, but for their entire life, they have received a very poor education, not only in school, but in many ways from their parents, pressuring them to do things that when you sit down and really look realistically at it, is getting yourself into 6 figures of debt and then not being able to do much with it, worth it, or is it better to, if you don't think you can get a scholarship and, school isn't really your thing, to go into a trade, and you'll be set for life, and you'll be doing something that you're talented at and have a real passion for. So it's a conversation that we as a culture have to start.
I agree with you. Now, you're somebody who supports Donald Trump. Again, KatieKieffer.com. Katie Kieffer, let me be clear. Barack Obama's War on Millennials and One Woman's Case for Hope. After the audio showed up last Friday, the audio that was held on to, that was known about for a long time, was leaked to try to end his campaign. Have you had to answer questions from your family or friends about whether you'll continue to support Donald Trump after hearing the raw language that was used with Billy Bush?
I think a lot of people feel at first, and understandably so, whether they're women or whether they're men who respect women, that these comments just make him seem too crass and unprofessional and unchristian or whatever to be president. So I made this case in Town Hall, in the article you mentioned, a young millennial woman for Trump, for why you should be able to vote for Trump with a clean conscience. And first of all, it's because a vote for Trump is a vote against Hillary. You're not voting for him personally and applauding his actions, but also every woman, and if she's honest, and every man, if he's honest, knows that this is an unfortunate but common thing that happens when guys are among other guys, and there's an immaturity involved, or maybe insecurity, or trying to make themselves look better among the other guys. Things like this are said, and a lot of times they're not even thinking about the women in a disrespectful manner. They're thinking about themselves and how to build themselves up, and they're doing it in an immature way. So everyone has heard this, and many people have engaged in it themselves. So rather than, I think, be hypocrites, we should really think about the future of this country and the fact that Trump had the courage really to apologize for this, and he's not an apologizer. He rarely does this, which indicates that he's sincere. Neither of the women with who were the object of his conversation has said that he physically touched them in any manner. And in fact, he was very professional with Adrienne Zucker afterwards. So.
It is Katie Kieffer, KatieKieffer.com. Go and read that. A young millennial woman for Trump. Go and read her latest article. Also, the book is Let Me Be Clear, Barack Obama's War on Millennials, one woman's case for hope. Can Trump, in the coming 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, can he actually get the millennial vote? Or what percentage of the millennial vote can he get? And how effective do you think it is that he brings a woman to that debate the other night who at 12 years old was brutally raped, so much so that she could never have children in her life, and she the rapist was defended and pleaded down by Hillary Clinton, who ended up laughing about the details of the case later. How important was that for the young women out there who were thinking, who do I vote for now that Bernie's out? Was that effective or not?
It was effective, Joe, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because Donald Trump is the one man in America who has brought the story of Kathy Shelton, the woman that you are talking about, who was raped at the age of 12 by a 41-year-old, her story to light. And this is the very first case that Hillary Clinton took out of law school. She didn't have a gun to her head. She chose to take this case and defend this individual, not even in a professional manner, but in a manner that degraded and made the victim, Kathy Shelton, who DNA evidence has proven that, yes, she was raped by this man. Hillary Clinton made her feel like she was a loser, and she got her client off with less than a year of prison. So when you have a situation where 1 in 5 millennial women who are now going to the polls or thinking about who to vote for, when they're faced with the possibility of rape or sexual assault on their college campuses, and they're thinking, I don't really know if I want to be part of this historic moment where the first woman in history is a woman who chose to make this the very first case she took as a lawyer, and who was an enabler of all of her husband's not infidelities, but sexual assaults, which are actually crimes. So I do think that it will have an impact. This is a story that has not been told before, and as I mentioned earlier, Democrats are telling other Democrats, but we're not hearing it in the mainstream. But in Time magazine and in Washington Post, which is what Democrats read, they're saying that they're fighting hard for that millennial vote. And in Ohio, public policy polling actually found that Trump is only behind Clinton by 1 point. And Ohio is a very crucial state. So that's just one example. They're neck and neck in many ways. I do think that Trump still has a chance to win this.
Katie, I think so too. People ask me every day, does he still have a chance? Yes, he has a chance. He's not out, that's for sure. And he certainly did himself very, very well on Sunday. Always great to talk to you. Let's hook up again soon. KatieKieffer.com. Go and read her latest blog, her latest article from Town Hall. Also, go get her book. Katie, thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me on.
You bet. We love having her on. Such a happy voice. You know what I mean, Carrie? And then I talk to her about very serious stuff. She's like, she's very, very, I don't want to say bubbly because I think that's a generic term, but very, very effervescent, very, very positive. Even though she's talking some serious stuff and she really knows her stuff. I love the positivity that she brings. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Stay right here.